You know, when I first started training, I made a mistake a lot of beginners make. I only focused on the muscles I like to see in the mirror, the biceps, the chest, the shoulders. I thought, if I just make these big, I'll look great. But I learned quickly that if you ignore your legs, your back, your core, you're building a body that's out of balance, unstable, and limited in what it can do. And when you step on stage, everyone sees it. There's nowhere to hide. Now, why am I telling you this? Because nations make the same mistake. If you depend on only one muscle, one partner, one source of growth, whether in bodybuilding or in the economy, you might look strong in the short term, but you're setting yourself up for a collapse in the long run. India understands this. For years, much of its trade weight was lifted with America. And yes, that built some impressive muscles, technology exchanges, defense deals, market access. But when you put too much of your economic training into one partner, you're essentially doing the same workout over and over. It might feel safe, but it limits your growth and it leaves you vulnerable to injury, or in this case, to political pressure, sanctions, or sudden changes in policy that you can't control. Diversification is the art of training the whole body. In the gym, that means legs, back, arms, chest, cardio, flexibility, all of it working together so that you are strong from every angle. For a country, it means building trade partnerships across multiple regions and industries. That's what India is doing now, turning towards Russia for energy, towards China for manufacturing collaboration, and towards its own domestic market for innovation and technology. This is not a sign of desperation. It's a sign of intelligent evolution. Think about if you only eat one type of food, your body will eventually get sick. If you only rely on one type of training, your body will plateau. The same is true for economies. The world changes, technologies shift, political climates heat up and cool down. You cannot be prepared for the future if you are locked into the past. And here's the deeper truth. Diversification is not just a strategy for countries, it's a philosophy for life. If you only develop one skill, you become dependent on that skill's relevance in the world. If you only have one source of income, you are one decision away from financial instability. If you only build one kind of relationship, you are one disagreement away from loneliness. That's not power. That's a trap. I learned early in my life that if I wanted to be truly free, I had to build different strengths. I was a bodybuilder, yes, but I also learned business. I learned acting. I studied real estate. I developed political skills. I diversified my identity so that no matter what happened to one part of my career, the rest of me would still stand strong. That's what India is doing, creating multiple pillars to stand on so that no single shock can knock the nation over. Some people will say, but isn't working with Russia or China risky? And my answer is, of course, it's risky. Everything in life worth having is risky. But the real risk is putting all your bets on one number. In the gym, if you only do one movement, you will eventually get injured because your other muscles are too weak to support the effort. By training all the muscles, and yes, that means sometimes working with partners who are different from you, who have a different style, you become balanced, stable, and adaptable. Economies, like bodies, have to adapt to survive. And adaptation only happens when you put yourself under new challenges. India is now lifting different weights, training with different partners, facing different kinds of resistance. That's how strength is built, not in comfort, but in variety and in struggle. So what does this mean for you personally? It means you cannot afford to be a single muscle person. If you want to succeed in the 21st century, you need to develop many strengths, build your career, yes, but also build your health, your relationships, your financial literacy, your resilience. Diversify your mind, your skills, your sources of energy. When one door closes, you will already have another one open. You see, true power is not being unbreakable. True power is being able to bend without breaking, to shift without losing your balance. That is what diversification gives you as a nation, as a business, as an individual. When I look at India right now, I see a country that is finally stepping into the full gym, not just standing in front of the mirror rack. It's picking up new weights, working on new angles, challenging itself in ways it never has before. And yes, it's going to be uncomfortable at first. Muscles burn when they grow. But that burn is the price of strength. The lesson is simple: don't build your life or your nation on one muscle. Build the whole body, train every angle, have multiple sources of strength. Because when the storm comes, and it always comes, you will be ready to stand tall no matter which way the wind blows. Strength is not found in dependence. Strength is found in the balance of many powers, and balance is the ultimate form of dominance. When I was training for Mr. Olympia, people used to ask me, Arnold, why do you train with Franco? Why do you bring in other champions to your gym? Aren't they your competition? And I told them, in the gym, there is no such thing as competition in the way most people think. They're only training partners who push you beyond your limits. Alone, you can only push so far, but with the right people next to you, you lift heavier, move faster, and become something you could never be alone. This is exactly what India is doing right now on the world stage. By moving towards Russia and China, it's finding new training partners in the arena of economics. America has been a strong partner for decades, yes, but growth demands fresh challenges and fresh alliances. A champion doesn't only train with one person forever, they rotate partners, learn new techniques, and expose themselves to different styles. That's how you become well-rounded and unbeatable. Think about it, Russia brings raw energy resources to the table, oil, gas, and the kind of energy security that powers entire industries. China brings manufacturing capacity, speed, and efficiency that's unmatched anywhere in the world. Combined with India's growing technology sector and its massive youthful workforce, this becomes the ultimate power trio. It's like building the strongest gym team, each person specializing in something the others need. One brings brute strength, another brings precision, another brings endurance. Together, you can conquer any challenge. Of course, some people will hear this and say, but Arnold, what about the differences in politics, in culture and vision? Won't that cause problems? And here's my answer. In any training partnership, you will have differences. Franco and I argued about training styles all the time, but we didn't walk away from each other. We used those differences to push each other harder. In global trade, as in bodybuilding, the friction is part of the growth. Different perspectives force you to see new angles, to innovate, to find solutions you would never discover in an echo chamber. There's also a psychological dimension here. If you always work with the same people, you start to assume their approval and you stop pushing yourself. But when you work with new partners, you have to prove yourself again. You have to earn their respect. That keeps you sharp. That keeps you hungry. India working with Russia and China means stepping into a new arena where it has to show strength, consistency, and value every single time. That pressure is a gift because pressure creates champions. You can also think of this as risk distribution. When I was in business, I didn't just put all my money into one movie or one property or one industry. I spread my investments. That way, if one market went down, I still had 10 others going up. For a nation, partnerships work the same way. If one market closes, another stays open. If one partner has a slowdown, another might be booming. You don't just survive, you thrive. And here's the deeper philosophy. True strength is not in isolation, it's in connection. Even the strongest man in the world needs a spotter. Even the best lifter needs someone to load the plates. We are at our best when we recognize that our power grows through collaboration, not blind dependence, but strategic cooperation. India is stepping into this mindset now. It's saying, I will not rely on one training partner forever. I will find others who can challenge me, complement me, and help me reach heights I couldn't reach alone. That's not weakness, that's the ultimate form of confidence. And yes, there will be moments of tension, there will be disagreements. But that's what happens when strong personalities work together. The key is that everyone benefits from the gains. Russia gains a huge market for its energy. China gains a massive trade partner and technology collaborator. India gains energy stability, manufacturing capacity, and a strengthened global position. That's the definition of a win-win-win. Now, let me talk about the personal lesson here. You can apply this principle in your own life starting today. If you want to grow, you need to surround yourself with people who have different strengths than you. If you're strong in one area but weak in another, find someone who's strong where you are weak and learn from them. If you only spend time with people exactly like you will never discover your blind spots. When I moved to America, I didn't just hang out with other Austrian bodybuilders. I connected with real estate investors, actors, producers, politicians, people who operated in worlds I knew nothing about. Every one of those relationships was a new training partnership that added something to my life. That's how you build a life that's not just big in one area, but strong in every area. That's what India is doing now. It's building a network of strength, America is not being abandoned. It's just no longer the only partner on the floor. Now, there are new hands on the barbell, new voices in the corner shouting, "Come on! One more rep." And when that happens, you lift more than you thought possible. In the end, the message is simple. In the gym, in life, in global trade, never rely on just one partner. Find the people who challenge you, who bring something different to the table, who make you uncomfortable in the best way possible. Because growth lives on the edge of discomfort. India is stepping into that discomfort now. It's not easy, it's not safe, but it's the path to becoming a true heavyweight on the world stage. And when you have the right partners beside you, there is no limit to how much weight you can lift and how high you can rise. When I was a young bodybuilder, I made the same mistake many people make in the gym. I focused only on the muscles I like to see in the mirror, the chest, the biceps, the shoulders. I thought, if I make these look big, I'll be unstoppable. But then I learned a painful truth. If you ignore your legs, your back, your core, you are building weakness into your body. You might look strong from the front, but the moment you have to carry real weight, you crumble. A country's economy is the same way. If you only work one muscle, one partner, one trade route, one source of growth, you might look impressive for a while, but you are dangerously unbalanced. That is what India has understood. For too long, much of the economic weightlifting was done with America. And yes, that built some powerful muscles, technology, trade, defense cooperation, market access. But when you put all your training into one area, you limit your growth and you make yourself vulnerable. Diversification is about training the whole body. In the gym, that means you don't skip leg day, you don't avoid the exercises you hate, and you don't just repeat the same workout forever. For a country, it means building trade resources and influence in multiple directions. This is what India is doing now, working with Russia for energy, with China for manufacturing power, with its own domestic industries for innovation and technology. Each one is a different muscle group that makes the whole body stronger. Here's the truth: if you eat only one kind of food, you get sick. If you train only one way, you plateau. If you trade only with one partner, you risk everything on their stability and goodwill. That's not strength, that's dependence. And dependence is weakness. This is why diversification is more than just an economic policy. It's a philosophy of strength that says, I will not allow my survival to depend on the mood of one partner or the stability of one market. I will build multiple pillars so that no storm can bring me down. In my own life, I live by this philosophy. I was a bodybuilder, yes, but I didn't stop there. I studied business. I invested in real estate, I learned acting, I went into politics. I built multiple sources of strength so that if one path closed, I still had 10 others open. This is how you create freedom. This is how you become unshakable. For India, that freedom comes from expanding its economic partnerships. It means not being at the mercy of any single nation's policies, sanctions, or changing priorities. It means having alternatives so that when one door closes, 3 more are already open. Some people will say, but Arnold, isn't working with Russia and China risky? And I tell them, of course it's risky, but the real risk is putting all your trust in one place. In the gym, if you only train one muscle, the other muscles will fail you. And when they fail, your whole body goes down. In trade, if you only rely on one partner and that relationship breaks, your whole economy feels it. Diversification forces you to adapt. It keeps you sharp. It exposes you to new ways of thinking, new industries, new challenges. Yes, it can be uncomfortable. But that's the point. Growth doesn't happen in comfort. It happens when you work muscles you've been neglecting. There's also a psychological benefit here. When you know you have multiple strengths, you carry yourself differently, you negotiate differently. You are not desperate for one partner's approval. You can walk away from a bad deal because you know you have other options. That's true power in life, in business, in global politics. Think of it like building a fortress. If you only have one wall, the enemy only needs to break through one side to destroy you. But if you have walls on every side, reinforced by allies in different directions, you are almost impossible to bring down. India is building those walls right now, not out of fear, but out of wisdom. The personal lesson for everyone here is simple. Don't be a one-muscle person. Don't build your career, your finances, your identity on just one thing. If you're good at your job, great, but Learn a second, start a side business, build new relationships. If you're strong in the gym, great, but also develop your mind, your communication skills, your ability to adapt. The more areas you strengthen, the harder it is for life to knock you down. Diversification doesn't mean spreading yourself too thin. It means being intentional about where you grow. You target the areas that make your foundation stronger. You look for partners, opportunities, and skills that complement each other. You think long-term, not just for the next rep, but for the next decade. India is not just reacting to global events, it is training for the future. It is working different muscle groups so that when the next economic storm comes, it won't just survive, it will dominate. So I leave you with this: strength is not just about size. It's about balance. It's about stability. It's about being ready from every angle. Whether you're a nation or an individual, don't put all your weight on one muscle. Build the whole body. Train for total strength, because when you are strong in every area, you are unstoppable.